All right. See if I can fix this. Good evening, everybody. How are you? Sorry, I'm 2 minutes late. I had to fix me some popcorn. I'm starving. How is everybody doing? Good evening. Hey, Brandon. Yes. So, I wanted to start doing something that I usually don't do. But if I buy something, I want to show y'all what I bought if I like it. Hey, Harry, how are you? What's going on in Chicago? Really, what's going on in Portland? But what they got going on in Chicago? Wait, did you move from Chicago? You don't live in Chicago no more. Didn't you move somewhere like North Carolina or something? Hey, Darnell. Yeah, it was in my brain. I just, I associate you with Chicago. Guardian. Hey, Guardian. Enjoy. How are you? Um, Android, hit me up because what we talked about before, I think there might be an opportunity. Hit me up. Yeah, little life foot, right? She tripping. Sometimes she be like on it, and sometimes she be doing some weird stuff. Well, anyway, let me show y'all what I got. Mm. And I have an affiliate link for it, just in case y'all want to get it. But I want to show it to y'all. And we will be talking about. Make sure you come in, you thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. We'll be talking about American Beauty finally. I don't know if y'all seen that, but that's what we're gonna talk about today. But this is what I wanted to show y'all. This Algadir by Nabil. So this is an actual concentrated perfume oil that is sipping. And I want to show it to y'all. I freaking love it. This little bottle, isn't that super cute? It got like a little jewel on the top. It actually looks like my like my butt plug. If you listen to Marsha's Plate, we did a video on our sex toys, and it's on our Patreon. And I have a butt plug that has a jewel on it like that, except it's green. TMI. But isn't that so cute? And so if you look, It's a concentrated oil. And if you look, there's like a little bar in the middle right there. This little bar right here. And it's connected to this. So you turn it and oh, it's like a little oil thing. And you put it on your skin. Super cute. So I thought that this was when I ordered it, I thought that it was gonna be a spray. Hmm. But even though I was I love it. Even though I was looking for a concentrated room oil, I don't know why I thought it was gonna be a spray. Yeah, it's an eau de parfum. I think the packaging is super cool. It's like that. It's, of course, it got the gold and the copper, and these little jewels on it that are green. Super cute. I love this. So it is a. Mm, it's like citrusy, florally, musky. It has like jasmine. It has orange, rose, patchouli, sandalwood. Um, it's just, I love it. It's just my favorite. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. It is. It's like it's really clean. It's like lemon, orange, jasmine is like the top notes. And then like rose, patchouli, sandalwood. And then like the bottom note as it dries down is like that typical, like really musky vanilla. I love it. So that's what I bought and I freaking love it. Y'all wanna check it out. It's the my affiliate link. I love it. It came fast. It's just I love like really like heavy oil fragrances because oils last longer than like sprays. Oils just smells so good. And I'm gonna show y'all what I've been reading. Well, that I just started reading. Sex, Love, and Race, Cross Boundaries in North American History, edited by Martha Hodes. I just started it, so I'll be probably talking about it pretty soon. So, uh, so what's been going on with y'all? We're gonna get started in about 5 minutes. Once I see, let's do some check-ins. What's going on in your life? No, I've never heard of oil perfumery. What is that? Ooh, put the link. Oil perfumery. Let's see. What's their tea? us.oilperfumery.com. Oh, they sell dupes. I see. So I don't usually. Hey, Janine. So the kind of fragrances I like are not usually typical American scents. with Michael. Who is Michael? Um, First, I love your hair. Thank you. Yes. This will hold me over till I can go to the barbershop. I've been cutting it myself, and I'm not a barber, but I try to make it look like something until I can go to the barbershop. There's this barbershop that is LGBT, like they it's owned by a masculine lesbian, and I'm gonna try them out, but I didn't get the chance to before COVID. Now I'm like, what's going on? But I want to try them out. Let me see. First, mm, how long has Harry been in North Carolina? How long have you been there? About 4 years? Is that? No, you've been there a while, haven't you? They are high in dupes. Try Baccarat. Is that how you say it? Baccarat Rouge. Baccarat Rouge. 540. What does that smell like? Baccarat Rouge. That sounds like a sexy name. Baccarat Rouge. Mm, love the new color. Yes, I actually wanted it to be a brighter red than this, but this is okay. I can deal with it till next time. I wanted it to be a little bit brighter. A little bit. This is kind of dark. Mm, I love old. Yes, same here. Your interview with George was amazing, and your look was tipping. That blue lip with everything. Yes. I was trying to contrast with my yellow dress. And I didn't feel very pretty that day, so I tried to turn it up. That day was a hard day. Mm, the author of All Boys. I'm sorry, I didn't get the book yet. Oh, George. Yeah, George M. Johnson. Yes, 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 yes. Perfume note: Egyptian jasmine, Flow saffron, Moroccan bitter, almond, cedarwood, musky. Ooh, that sounds like my tea. Mm. And it's on oil perfume. Let me write that down. Baccarat Rouge. Oil perfume. Yes, that sounds like my alley. Guardian. You're not supposed to be telling people about your fragrances. Nah, I'm playing. Yeah, I'm the type of person I love so many fragrances, and my fragrance choices are really usually exotic. So I'm usually not gonna smell like somebody else. It's gonna be something that is not just available in that everybody will wear. Um, and I have scents for um, not really all seasons, but I have my summer fragrances and I have my like winter. So when it's hot and then when it's cold, I kind of switch back and forth. I love, and most of the things that I really, really love are discontinued or they're discontinued from the main whoever made, like I have a scent called Indecent from Givenchy, and they They discontinued it, but other people are still making it. They're still making the dupes of it. And then I think my most like mainstream scent that I have that I love is Tom Ford Noir de Noir. Yes. Um, it's not as busy as Chicago though. So if you're someone that likes that, then it takes some getting used to. I meant to say that I think yes, very copper, but I want it to be more brassier. I want to grow it to like right here. Yeah. What about double this? And then when I get the box, then I want to turn it into more of like a Nefertiti, where the sides grow out a little bit. That's my vision. And then once it gets so long, I'm gonna lock it. Um, yay! Come on, 65 inch. Yes. All right, so let's talk about the movie. So, has everybody seen this movie? Hmm. Yes, George is cool people. I'm proud of him as somebody who aspires to who's writing a book. I love people who are doing things that I aspire to do, especially black queer folks, because their process I like to, compare theirs to mine. Okay, good. So if anybody has not watched American Beauty, it is, I would say, it's a movie. It came out in 1999. It's an old movie. It's like 20 years old, 20 plus years old, and it's actually one of my favorite movies of all time. Like when people ask me, like, what's my favorite movies? I'm like Color Purple, American Beauty. You know, it's up there for me. I really love movies. This movie, um, and I guess you would say it's a film about a guy named Lester and his family, and I guess it examines beauty. Examines perception, and so Lester is going through like a midlife crisis, and he's on the verge of getting fired. He doesn't have a good relationship with his wife or his daughter. Um, he's like 45, and he's going through like a really intense crisis. Um, he's kind of grown a little bit cynical, um, and he's like, God, if this is life. This is so whack. It's like boring. It's whack. It's not exciting. It's whack. And so his wife, they're like cold to each other. Like it's not a joyful marriage. She is trying to be this real estate tycoon, and she tries to present an image that's like she's in full control. She wants a perfect image. She wants full control, and sometimes that control can be really really toxic. She's like a ball buster. She's like she is a sapphire. She is one of them people that I think that are like right on the verge of a mental breakdown. Always trying to impress people. Very very empty and depressed on the inside. They have a daughter named Janie, and she is mm, average, ordinary, not necessarily, you know, beautiful. Very regular. She convinced that she's unattractive. Um, she got low self esteem, of course, but because she has low self esteem, she has a friend named Angela who doesn't make it better because Angela is like classic female narcissistic. She aspires to be a model. She's stereotypical white beauty girl, like the typical white female beauty, blonde hair, blue eyes, slim, those kind of things. And so her being friends with Jane doesn't help Jane's self esteem because she's a narcissistic bitch. But internally, anybody like that has low self esteem. So, who else? Lester, upon meeting Angela, Janie, his daughter's friend, start to have these like fantasies about her. Who she's a teenage girl and he's a grown 45-year-old man. And these like Lolita s fantasies about her, like masturbating, thinking about her, and that's what it is. That's kind of like a main point of the story that he has these fantasies about her. And Angela flirts back with him. It's not just him fantasizing. Because she is in need of attention and male attention, her self-esteem is rooted in her beauty. So male attention is something that she's easily plays on. Um, so Lester's lust for her is she's almost teasing him. It's not just him just thinking it in his mind. She's almost playing with the idea. Um, so anything she thinks, it kind of provokes something in him. Like he heard a conversation between her and Jane about if he got buff and got his chest and his arms done, got it right by working out, she'd fuck him. And she was just saying that to Jane and didn't know that he was listening. So he started working out and doing all this kind of stuff. Anyway, meanwhile, next door to this family, this dysfunctional ass family, um, Colonel Fitz has moved in next door. And Fitz is like this lifetime. He spent like a lifetime in the Marines, and he can't understand or tolerate any other way of life than this like super toxically masculine controlled life that the Marine gave him, which makes, to me, he has a son and a wife, and him being how he is has clearly traumatized the wife and traumatized the son too, but his son is dealing with it in a different way. His son name is Ricky, and he's like an aspiring filmmaker and a part-time drug dealer, who's obsessed with beauty. But not just like stereotypical beauty. He seems to be obsessed with dark beauty, not typical mainstream beauty. He seems to be obsessed with dark beauty. Um, and so they go through this whole process and it leads to someone dying. Okay. So let me see what y'all got. What have y'all said so far? The Crying Game is one of my favorite movies. I have not watched The Crying Game. That is not my type of ministry. That seems very trans weird. Yeah, it was so weird. This is one of my favorite movies to analyze. Yes, Brandon, she is a perfectionist. I think you talked about Carolyn. Karen, too. Yes, definitely. Carolyn is definitely a Karen. Absolutely. American Beauty is also a favorite movie of mine. Yes. And did she fuck? And did she fuck the father? No, she didn't. Since I saw the movie, they're going to, and he stopped when he said he was a virgin. Yes, she was a virgin. The scene with the 11-year-old me like, ooh. The son was fine, but he was a trip. It's funny how he ended up being gay in the end. So let's talk about characters. Let's see who y'all want to talk about first. What character y'all want to talk about first? I guess we can talk about Lester first because he is the main character. Um, so Lester, in the beginning of the movie, he is you really get to see how drab his life is. Um, Not getting along with the daughter, not getting along with the wife. It's really boring. She's always talking shit. Um, like even the mom driving and the daughter when they first come when the movie first starts. I guess she's about to go to work and he's about to go to work. She has to drop him off and you know all that kind of stuff. She's looking at the mom, Carolyn, looks at the daughter, and she was like, are you purposely trying to look unattractive?" And the daughter was like, "Yeah, mom." And she was like, "Well, you have successfully succeeded at looking the most unattractive." So Mama is always reading them because she's a perfectionist and she wants to give this image of this perfect family. And her daughter and her husband are not trying at all to meet her standards um, of that. The daughter is giving grungy. She's giving grunge. The husband is giving very loser. And she like, honey, could you make me even more late? And his suitcase busts open, so it's just so awkward. And it really sets the stage of how the situation he is in. Then he goes to work, and you see him talking to the people at his job, and anybody who has worked like a telemarketing kind of job or firm is like, oh, you can just hear how I hate this job. Then somebody younger than him, he's been at the job for 14 years. Somebody younger than him brings him into the office, the manager dude, and is telling him like, we need to evaluate everybody. You need to let us know what value that you bring to the company. Lester, of course, is offended because y'all not showing me no kind of loyalty. I've been fucking with y'all for 14 years, and here you go, where I'm on the verge of being fired. I gotta prove my worth. What? But you really get to see how really drab his family is. his family, his work life. He is going through a midlife crisis. I am not happy. There's no joy. There is nothing going on in my life that I am in control of. It's like I'm just going through this redundant, boring, mundane life with people who are almost pretending like we're a happy family, but we're really not at all. It's routine, it's bland, it's just not what it is. Hey, Prince Dior, this whole family dynamic is awkward as hell. Yes. Um, but that's Lester. So let's talk about Carolyn. So Carolyn is the mom. So Carolyn, apparently, when they got married, before they turned into these 45-year-old adults, adulting in this boring life, apparently Carolyn, when they first was dating, she used to do like exciting stuff, like flash people on the roof, fake seizures at frat parties, and she was a fun, happy person. But apparently, with children, marriage, and whatever, her trying to have this image, she's turned into this kind of everything about her is about image. It's about portraying a perfect image that she thinks is impressive to everybody else. She has a perfect rose garden. She wants her house to look a certain way. She has the house decorated in a certain way with some expensive things. Um, but it doesn't translate just on outward where she's trying to impress outward people. It happens on the inside of her house. Because she cooks a certain way or she wants to cook a certain way, so she cooks everything, and it has to be a certain type of food that's nutritious. Um, the type of music that's playing, elevator music, the type of music that's playing. She's like a megalomaniac. She has to control everything in regards to their lives. And the daughter and the father is kind of going with the flow because she's such a megalomaniac. The dad really needed someone love and affection, and the mom needed a stiff one real bad. She is a real estate agent, and she's in the market where there's this guy who has his own real estate firm who is doing really, really well in this particular area. So not only does it make her feel insecure because she's not selling houses like she wants to, clearly she's selling them enough to live where they live. But because they seem like a middle class family, but she's not the best in her market. And you really get to see her work and how frustrating her work is when they show you a scene where she's selling a house. She's coming into the house, she's cleaning it up, and she's one of them people that seems like they listen to self-help audiobooks, and she does this mantra stuff. So the whole time she's cleaning this house to prepare it for her sales and for her potential buyers. She's like, I will sell this house today. 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 And so she's kind of um she's just what I think of like middle class white woman. She's exactly what I think of middle class white, how I think of them. Um with a little bit of oomph, with a little bit of gumption, because she's not weak. Hey, Marissa. Uh, so one element about Carolyn that I wanted to kind of point out is that Carolyn is a sapphire. And if you don't know what sapphire is sapphire is like a it's an African American woman trope. And I'm only calling Carolyn a sapphire because it's what she is, and I got a point to make after that later. That's why I'm calling her. So if we know, I've talked about this on previous videos. Some of the tropes against African American women would be like the mammy trope, the fat, jovial, asexual, motherly kind of stereotype, the mammy trope, the angry black woman trope, that attitude. You got me fucked up. The angry black woman trope. And then there's other ones, but another one is the sapphire. Sapphire is a sapphire is like a ball buster. Where it started from was Amos and Andy years ago used to have a character named Sapphire who was they used to dress up as black men. This when they did blackface, and the black character, he always would come up with these schemes to try to make money and get rich, and they never would work. And Sapphire, his wife, would always be downing him and making him look stupid and talking shit about him, like, "Oh, you sorry, good for nothing." And so the image was the stupid black man and this ball busting black woman, this black wife. And it started to be a stereotype of black women that they are always feisty, always complaining, always ball busting the dude. It perpetuated. It's kind of like a still angry black woman, but kind of a break off where she is demeaning the man, demeaning the husband, and asserting herself as a power. And he's the weak, dumb link. And this image, could grow in black men's minds. And you see what I'm saying? It's something that that kind of image could affect the relationship between black men and black women, relationship between how people looked at black women. And so Sapphire, to me, Carolyn is a quintessential sapphire, even though but the reason why we don't think of Carolyn as a sapphire is because white people have a privilege of individualism. Like one of the privileges of being white is that you can be an individual without it reflecting your whole community. Without it be you see a white like a Karen doesn't really reflect the whole white woman community. And they're not really worried about it in the same sense that we are, because black folks, when we see a bad representation of us, it's always, oh Lord. You know what I'm saying? We have to worry about because we don't have the privilege of individualism. We have to worry about what we do in the world, how we portray ourselves in the world, because it reflects our whole community. Particularly if we are a public figure, but it's not just that. It happens on a micro level. If you're the only black girl in a classroom, you representing the whole black community. So you have to talk a certain way, dress a certain way. And people will push you to be a certain way, even in our own community, because they know you are a reflection of all of us. So if you're not representing all of us in a certain way, and I remember I went to a predominantly black school most of my life. most of my life, all of my schools were predominantly black. I never went to trying to think. Oh, one time, but I only stayed there for like a month, and then we moved. So I'm so glad. That was Perry Township in Indianapolis. But the rest of my schools were predominantly black, and even in those predominantly black spaces, because I was a queer person, anytime somebody tried to put me in my place, like teachers and guidance counselor, and not put me in my place, like, no, that's not the right words. Steer me in the right direction. That's the better language. Anytime they tried to steer me in the right direction, it would be under the guise of, I'm trying to help you, you not representing black men a certain way, dressing all feminine like that. You supposed to be a strong black man. Stop doing this trendy shit. You're not a woman. You're making us look bad. Sometimes it's not this direct. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. This messaging is not this direct. It's very it's coded. Like you would be so handsome if you would be so, like, I remember this teacher. I can't remember her fucking name. I just remember her face. I can't remember her name. But every time she saw me or was in a space where we could sit down and talk, she would talk about how handsome I would be if I just would let all of that girl stuff go. The girls will really like you. Like I'm just doing this because somehow the girls, I can't get girls. When really, girls was so easy to get. I was running away from girls. I was not interested. So, but because she believed that for some reason I wasn't making that connection, she needed to sell it to me that I would be so handsome and I would be representing us so well. And sometimes it's just subtle and sometimes it's more direct. But was always a pressure that they were trying to teach me to be a better representation of a black man or of the black community. And so, and I see that in other ways too. Like I see when you got black girls who dress in that particularly urban ghetto fabulous way, other people, especially outside of like upper class or middle class, they can look down on it and think that, oh, y'all, look at these. You know what Chris Rock said. He was like, I love black people, but I can't stand a motherfucking nigga. It's those type of statements and those type of things that reflect that push that you represent all of us. And if you're not representing all of us in the right way, then you're one of them niggas. And so the privilege of being white is they have the privilege of individualism. And that's kind of what I wanted. One of the points I wanted to make in this video about Carolyn. Carolyn is a quintessential sapphire. Like, she is ball busting. She is talking down on this man. She is talking down on everybody around her. She's a quintessential sapphire, but it doesn't represent the whole. But we don't look at it the same. Everybody doesn't look at Carolyn being a sapphire as the same as if we seen a Carolyn type of person in a character on a film that was surrounding black people, we wouldn't like her. Like, she wouldn't be something. We would have think pieces on how this is not representing black people well. This is, why did they create this character? Like, we don't have the luxury of individualism. So I want to make that point about Carolyn. I want to talk about Lester and him being kind of the classic creep. And how men being attracted to young girls is an acceptable fantasy. Like there are certain fantasies, especially queer fantasies, that you're only gonna see in bits and pieces. Even within this movie, even when Fitz kissed Lester, that was a bit piece of homoerotica. But in this film, there was a lot of scenes where he was fantasizing. Even though we know this is a teenage girl, there, and this was a different time. You know, this is '99, but there was a lot of films that kind of normalized this film and other films that the young, older man, younger woman is an acceptable fantasy. It's an acceptable fantasy. It is almost like it's a normal fantasy to have, almost like it's a almost like romanticizing it a little bit. You know, even just like, you know, when we think about roses, roses are a symbol of romance. And in the film, when you would see her in his fantasy, she was surrounded by roses, surrounded by rose petals in the bed, in the tub, surrounded by rose petals while he was in the bed, and seeing her all over the classic American Beauty scene where she's spread out nude and the rose petals are all over her body. Um, roses represents romance. It represents, you know, that kind of idealism. But for me, when I watch it, it's really creepy and it's meant. I don't know if that. I know he's meant to be. He's meant to be seen as a creep, but I'm talking about just in general, a cultural thing. I think that fantasizing about young women is seen. It's one of them things that's like, we know it's wrong. Don't do that. But also depicted as this is normal. You're an older man. You are supposed to want something younger. Wanting that upgrade is the life. So particularly think about it. When Lester got his car, remember he got that red Firebird. Was it Firebird or Thunderbird? Thunderbird is a drink, an old school wino drink, right? Firebird, yes. So when Lester got that Firebird, when he was coming out of his crisis and he had played the you know, he had blackmailed the people at his job and he had got this new job, this new mindless job at the fast food restaurant. And then he got the Firebird car. And then, you know, he had a remote control little car. These were the things that represented his newfound freedom, his newfound lust for life, his newfound, you know, these things were the key to him feeling like, oh, I'm young again. His fantasies about Angela was also that. So it's paralleling with this car, it's paralleling with all these things. So it's normalizing that men having fantasies about young women is like this is the life. And I think that's creepy. That's my only negative, and it's not negative, no. It just was an element of the movie that I didn't really I knew I was appropriate, but with the storyline, but I didn't like it because I feel like this happens in a lot of movies. But him doing it is just a central plot of the story, but I see it in other movies subtly that for men, a younger woman is a key to um, particularly inappropriately young, is a key factor in living the life. And when you watch the documentary about Jeffrey Epstein, you really get into the dark side of it. Movies like American Beauty make it like almost whimsical and romantic and blah blah blah. But when you watch like a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein, you like, this is the reality. This is the dark side of men trying to live that life and get and exploit young girls and young women and the effects of it. You see what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. Um, and I think to me, when you see these depictions, kind of like what we were talking about with the trans thing, what they were talking about with the trans thing on, and we were talking about on Disclosure, how the movies and depictions of trans people can be really just a direct reflection of what can happen in real life. And you know, I think movies that depict young girls as the you know as a marker of living life for an older man, it leads to the exploitation of them in the real world, to me. And so I wanted to kind of point that out with about Lester. Um, who else? So we talked about Carolyn. We talked about so let me talk about Carolyn a little bit more. There's a wide range of white women who are on the verge of breakdown like Carolyn. But what I want to talk about a little bit is her relationship with Buddy. So Buddy is the real estate mogul that is the successful one in the city. He's the I think she called him the Rolls Royce of real estate in their area. And their relationship, it's funny how she saw him as a competition and was annoyed. Remember when she was coming to clean that house? She saw that he was selling a house across the street. And then she was mad that the people next door, Colonel Fitz, whoever sold the house, um, and she was like, "Ooh, if they would have let me sell it, it wouldn't have stayed on the market for so long." So and so, so and so. So she's looking at him as competition, but he was like, if you think about it, he was like the catalyst of her finding her new zest for life. Like, ooh, doing something on the edge. I've been this kind of bland, boring bitch, living for image and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm doing something naughty. I'm cheating on my husband. I'm getting dick down in this role play. Ooh, you like getting fucked by the king, which was hilarious, a hilarious scene. Um, at the hotel, at the sleazy hotel, I'm doing this, and this negative situation is the catalyst of my breakthrough to break out of the monotony of my life, to break out of the idea that I have to be perfect or do everything perfect in order to put out this image. And so it's ironic that he particularly was the the thing that it was depicted that she despised, other than her husband. um, he posi- he positioned she positioned him as the enemy, but that enemy was a catalyst of her finding some type of joy in her life. Which brings me to Colonel Fitz. So Colonel Fitz is the one that lives next door to Lester and Carolyn. He is the classic toxic masculine man. Very steeped in masculinity, steeped in homophobia, steeped in sexism, steeped in violence, all that kind of stuff. Like he is that. He's the type of person that we all hate. Like toxic masculinity in a pure form. White male toxic masculinity too. Because I think there's a difference between toxic black male masculinity, God knows each other, and toxic white male masculinity. Because although they both have power, there's a different kind of power. There's a different kind of power in toxic white male masculinity because of their place in society. Where with a black dude, like for example, like the wife clearly is gone. You feel what I'm saying? Like mentally, his wife is gone. Ricky's mother, she's mentally gone. And you know it's because he done run her to the ground with abuse and violence and control. And so she's gone. So one thing that I hate, hate, and I've come to hate it as I've gotten older. But I remember when I was younger, I used to use this kind of rhetoric in a way that was I used to say stuff like this, but I hate it now. I hate when I see it. One thing that I hate is people who say that homophobes are only homophobes because of repressed feelings in themselves, repressed homosexual feelings in themselves. While I do know and believe that there are some people who, one of the reasons why they lash out so much at homosexuals is because they may be homosexual themselves and they see you being free like this and they are shamed by it. So why you get to be free and gay and I'm feeling shame about my gayness? I do know some people that are like that, but I don't like the idea that that is all people. I don't think for men to be toxic that they need to be, for men to be toxic towards homosexuals, that they need to be a repressed homosexual. I don't think that they need that to be toxic. I think that they can be toxic because of multiple reasons: religion, the social culture. It doesn't need to just be, I feel some secret homosexual feelings and I'm ashamed of it and I want to lash out. There are men who are toxic just for that, just because that is the culture of being, of being men and being cishet and being a Christian-based world, because homosexuality is wrong in Christian culture and a lot of Abrahamic religions like Muslim and so and so and so and so and so and so. So to me, I don't think they need it to be toxic. Now, going back to what I said about, think about what I said about Carolyn and Buddy being like the crux of the key to her, him being the enemy, and the key to her finding joy through this bullshit life that she got going on. I think with Fitz, I think some dudes are so embedded in this toxic masculinity that the only way for them to break the yoke of that, like really break the culture in their mind and in their mind and in their psyche, the only thing that could break him, break that idea, would be homosexuality. Not necessarily because he's gay or repressed, because he has positioned women and homosexuality as the enemy of who he is. Feminine, not femininity. So women, femininity, homosexuality, all of those things as the opposite of what masculine represents to him as an ideology. Okay? Because he has positioned them as the enemy. He has positioned them as this is what masculinity looks like. This is what masculinity is represented by. This is how it acts. This is how it is. And this is the opposite of that. And the opposite of that is femininity, homosexuality, women. Anytime you need a breakthrough, you got to come to grips with whatever your enemy is. Whatever it is that you when you need a breakthrough in your life, like any type of psychological breakthrough that you need, if you're trying to break through trauma, you gotta face, hey Coco, you have to face whatever it is that you have deemed the enemy. And so to me, think about what Fitz did. That first of all, that has to be a lonely life. For you to be this toxic, it has to be a lonely life because people cannot love you freely in that space. So his wife could not love him freely. His wife could not love him in a healing kind of way. She probably just was some low self-esteem person to her and stuck with him because this is her financial security and got pregnant, and so she has a baby and, she's stuck into this life. And then your son, he can't love you. Your son can't love you in a healthy kind of way because you're so judgmental. You are so violent. So nobody in your life can engage with you in a way that is real, for real. So when he's seeing his son go through this situation, and he has this moment with his son where, where he's literally looking weak to his son. Like his son finally, when he gets to try to fight his son because he thinks he's fighting, found out that he's messing around with the next door neighbor. He started trying, this whole movie, he's been using violence to control his son. He's kicking his wife's ass. We don't see that, but we know that's why she's so broken. But he's literally using violence to control his son and chastise his son and get his son, quote unquote, on the right track. But he's not understanding how he's making these relationships with other people. Do you see what I'm saying? With the family, like he sees him getting a ride with the family, being cool with Janie, being cool with he see his son engaging with people socially, and it looks like, oh, this looks like fun. While he's stuck in the house with this half brain dead wife that he's contributed to, with no friends, no people who coming over and nothing. So he sees this happening with his son, and then he sees the shit happen from the window where it looks like he was sucking Lester dick. And so that triggers that anti-homosexual stuff, and he goes after his son. And he's trying to fight him, blah, 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 blah. And in that moment, his son gets the strength. And he was like, even though he's not gay, he knows that he can use this because homosexuality and femininity, and that is this man's enemy. This is his horcrux. Because he's this toxic masculine pillar, homosexuality is his horcrux. This is what gets to the heart of this nigga. That's why he's sitting in his fucking corner crying because he thinks that I'm gay. And his son find power in that and say, yes, I am a faggot. I'm the best piece of ass. Even though he's lying, this is his way to fight back, because if this toxic masculine thing is Voldemort, homosexuality is his horcrux. This is how I penetrate you. You have all this magical shield, but this is how I penetrate you and hurt you. Because I can't fight you like normal. I can't, because you're some old military man that can get me together. I can't fight you like normal. And so his son finds that strength in like, oh, you kicking my ass, but it's because you think I'm gay. And you sit here on the verge of emotions. Let me wear you out. And so in that moment, his son started to use it as a weapon. You remember like when, like when Harry Potter was like, yeah, now I can hit you, Voldemort. Let me stab you, this Tom Riddle book with this snake tooth. Do you see what I'm saying? Y'all remember that? And so he's like, oh, I see. So yes, I'm a faggot. Yes, I'm the best piece of ass from here to California, or whatever he said about him. But and as you saw, his father like went into weak mode. Do you see what I'm saying? He was crying and was like, I'll fuck you up. Don't try me, boy. But he's hurt. He's weak and hurt. And his son is seeing that. Get the fuck out of my house. I never want to see you again. You see what I'm saying? You can see the father is being hurt by what his son is saying, because homosexuality, femininity, womanness, all that is his horcrux. That is piercing him to his core. The core, this is shaking the foundation of his being, because he is a toxically masculine person that has invested his life in that ideology. Not just in it for a moment, but his whole being is set up on the pillar of toxic masculinity. And his son is getting to the core of the problem with this. When you see him come to Lester, what you see, to me, this is my interpretation of the movie, what you see is Colonel Fix trying to get a breakthrough. Is this a way? Is this a door into me being happy? Is this like, how are y'all happy and joyous on this gay shit? Look, I seen this gay couple that done came and knocked on my door and brought me this basket. Because if you really think about it, the most functional, happy family on the block is the gay couple with the dog. They're working out together, being happy, being joyous. The gay couple is the only one that's actually happy. It's the only one that seems to be functioning in a right, healthy balance. The gay couple that he sees running down the street with Lester. And y'all all happy like this. What the fuck? Remember he said, what the fuck is this, a gay parade? Like he's seeing them in this happy, maneuvering the world in a level of freedom that he will never get being invested in toxic masculinity. And so him coming to Lester in that way, in my mind, and this is my interpretation, so it's just me, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that he wanted to do all his life, in some secret room in the back of his mind, that he's been hiding. It could have came up in that moment that his son was shaking his foundation and he needed to reconcile it. Like, what is happening? I have been having all control in my life thus far. I've been trained in the military where you got to have control of your situation. You got to be this toxic masculine person. And now that I'm in this age, my son has just made me feel so fucking weak. What is this new thing? What is this? What is going on? And so when he comes to Lester, I think that that was a test, like, is this how I have never been affectionate to a man like this. I haven't been able to do that. And so is this my breakthrough? So in this moment, let me try to open that door. This may not be the right person. This may not be, but in my mind, I could have swore I just saw you get some head from my son or whatever, however this works. This may be the breakthrough. And so let me try it. Let me, and I want to make an emphasis. I don't think that it doesn't necessarily, it could be for some people, but it doesn't in this situation, this man's situation, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that he thought about years ago and it's been being repressed. It could be in this moment of my vulnerability, of me feeling weak. I come through the garage door. When he comes through the door, you see he's already broken. He's already crying, rained on. And Lester, in that moment, is like, not knowing, Lester doesn't know what's going on. Lester in that moment says, dude, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry that you're going through. And Lester, just being Lester, because Lester ain't invested in toxic masculinity. His particular self isn't. He hugs Colonel Colonel Fitz. And that probably, when do you think the last time a genuine I care for you and I'm being tender to you hug happened to Colonel Fitz? Probably never, or or in a very, very long time. And so in this moment, he's vulnerable and he's in that tender spot. And boom, in the same way that I think he was testing it out to see if this was a breakthrough for me to go to another direction later in life. And then for Lester to reject him in that moment. Woo! So I get to the point where I make the breakthrough and try this out. And then I get rejection in that moment. Harsh rejection. You have the wrong idea, son. Because Lester was like, oh, whoa. No, I'm not gay. You got the wrong party. Think about the tailspin that would send somebody in that vulnerable position in. And of course, it led to him killing him. A Marine trained with the tools to kill somebody if they wanted to. Like, even when you see at the end, when he all bloody, he had the tools. He had the gun. He had the gloves on. He already knew. He had already been thinking about, how could I kill somebody? That's something he was trained to do. You see what I'm saying? But in that moment of tenderness and vulnerability, I get rejected. Woo! You can't That's crazy. So yes, I thought that was an interesting um, point. But that he would have to. I felt like he had to go through in order to break that toxic facade. He had to go through homosexuality to do it. And I think that if he had met if that moment had happened with somebody gay and not Lester, it could have changed him for the better. But because he had this moment through Lester, because he misread what was going on between Lester and his son, he has the moment with somebody who is not gay. But it could have been a beautiful breakthrough moment for him if it was with somebody who was gay. Because he needed it. He needed that breakthrough. But then in the moment, he was rejected because he read it wrong. There was a deleted scene of Fitz in the Marine showing he was in love with the Marine. After seeing this man die, he believed he is being punished for being gay. Oh, I didn't see that scene. I don't know that scene. I hadn't seen that. But I also think that is a because of the rhetoric of if you are so homophobic like that, you have to have some secret gay stuff. I could believe that somebody would create a scene like that. In the same way, remember when they were talking about on Disclosure when they were depicting the the trans man, and because the show was made by lesbians, how they were depicting him and his engagement with testosterone, they were depicting him in a way that he was being toxic because of testosterone and how he was um, um, selling out his femaleness by becoming a man because the writers was trying to sell this particular story and that's their mindsets about transness. That's what they were selling. And I think that's a perfect example because that is the belief that I don't think is true, that extreme homophobes are secretly repressed homosexuals, that a lot of people believe that. I don't believe that. And so somebody creating a movie with this kind of narrative, I can believe that they would make a scene that would show him being some type of homosexual in his past. Do I believe that that could be possible? Absolutely. I just don't think that that is necessary. I don't think it's necessarily the case, and I don't think it's necessary for you to be a homophobe. I think that you could be a homophobe without homosexual tendencies. But I can see them making that scene. But I'm glad they took it out. So let's see where we at. We got okay, cool. Um, let's talk about Angela and Janie. So Angela is the classic female narcissist. Maybe that's why they cut it out. Yes, I hope so. I hope that's why they cut it out because I've never seen that scene. But I hope that's why they cut it out because I don't think that's necessary. I don't think it's necessary to be to have a homosexual moment and it be repression. Because think about like some things are spontaneous. Like I feel like, I think that there are some people who are naturally homosexual. like naturally gay. I think that from the time that they come out the womb, their inclination is to be gay. When we see them little gay little boys at like 4 years old, they ain't had sex yet, but they sassy and da 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 da. When you see them and you just know, like, I know they're going to be gay, and then they grow up and they're gay. Like, there's some people that I think are just naturally queer. I just think that it just comes natural. Then there are some people who I think is circumstantial and sometimes spontaneous. It's circumstantial. People who have been molested and it warps their mind, their molestation warps their mind in how they think about sexuality and sex with the opposite sex. Those are, to me, circumstantial gays. Like, oh my God, I naturally wouldn't have been inclined to be gay, but because I was molested, and in the way that I was molested, it actually felt good to my body. And so it opened up the door to the possibility of being engaging with the opposite sex. Those are circumstantial gays to me. Those are gays who I do feel like if they had some therapy, blah, 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 they could not be gay. You know, I think that those type of queer folks are people who are making a decision, who are making a choice. But there are some people who I think it's just their natural inclination. Then you have people who life circumstances put them in a situation where they can spontaneously choose to explore. Think about women who never thought about girls in a sexual way, and then they go to college and they're in a situation that's homoerotic, and they just explore the situation in the moment. It's not like I was gay this whole time and it was repressed. Da, 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 da. No, I'm in a situation where the opportunity has presented itself, and do I do it or do I not do it? I think there's some people in the world that just for the sake of exploration, boom, let's try it. Let's see. I've met dudes myself as a pre-op trans woman. I've met dudes who I don't feel, they had any inclination to mess with anything outside of a cisgender woman. But because in the moment that we met, I was attractive, the opportunity was there, it was presented, and they were like, fuck it, let's see. Let's see how this goes. I remember this guy, we decided to mess around, and when we messed around, we did everything, like everything that could be done, top, bottom, verse, blah, 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 everything that can be done, we could be done. And it was a good experience. I was like, oh, this is fun, blah, 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 blah. And he told me that I hadn't seen him for a while. Because I ended up moving like right after. I ended up moving from Mississippi right after I hooked up with him. And we talked, and I talked to him after, and I was like, I asked him had he messed around after us. And he was like, no, because he felt like I did that to try something that I wanted to do. And I enjoyed everything about it. But I didn't, I tried it with you because I trusted you to not talk about it to people. Because I knew you. I saw how you navigated the world because I had been knowing you for years. Me and the dude I'm talking about, we have been knowing each other for years. And he was always just a straight dude that I wanted, but he was straight. So he never would, he never gave me the door to open because to me, you're trans. It's okay. It's okay for you to be what you are. I'm going to respect you. I'm going to call you she, her, and hers. I'm going to respect your pronouns, respect your name. But to me, in the back of my mind, you still a dude. So I'm gonna respect you, but I'm not gonna treat you like I'm gonna treat you like a cis woman in our social settings. But when it comes to sexuality, and if I'm not gonna treat you like a cis woman with sexuality because I know what's going on, and that ain't really my cup of tea. And so I never was in a situation with him where I thought that I would be able to have him. But years later, I mean, like maybe 10 years later after that, maybe like 6 years later after that, we met in other circumstances. And the opportunity arose and he took it and did everything. Because his mindset was, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all while I'm the first time. And there go. And so, and that was his mindset. He was like, we were in the opportunity and I just said, fuck it. And I think there's some people like that. Do you think if you were post-op, he would have viewed you differently? I don't think people. No, I don't think people view people differently. It can make it easier for them to digest what you're trying to sell them. It can make it easier for them to digest, but they know you're not a cis woman. So, it's like, I think it's layers. So it's some dudes that will deal with you and deal with a trans person, and you don't need any kind of body work. All you need to do is be dressed in the right kind of clothes and have a wig. There's some dudes that's all you need. Then there's some dudes who all you need is feminine body, feminine look. You got to look like something. You may not need a sex change, but you got to have some titties. You got to have some, you got to play the part. You got to be full time. You can't be just dressing up. And then you go to the next level. Got to be passable. You can't be kinda. You have to be passable. Like, oh my God, I can be out in public with you with no problem. Then the next level is you have to have a sex change. You can't be in this in-between stage. You have to have a sex change. Like, you can't have a dick. When you still have your dick, it makes me think of you as a dude. So you have to have a sex change. And so dudes are where there's different types of dudes that accept different when it comes to, but at the end of the day, that all of them know that you are not a cisgender woman. You just got to have, for each one, you just got to have different layers of cis heteronormativity in your physical for them to deal with you. Yes, I have male friends that have been there yesterday. They've been that way also, not yesterday. The opportunity presented itself for them in college after one of them got out of the shower. And that could happen, however, it's so many ways that could happen, especially with queer folks really sharing their stories nowadays. You really get to see how people's sexuality manifests. And sometimes it's more spontaneous than planned out. Do you think this is a good question. If you were post-op, do you think he still would have a good time with you sexually? Um, I don't. I've never met a dude that didn't have a good time with me sexually. Anybody who I got in the bedroom with, I haven't had any complaints about what we did. Um, Even him to this day, we still text and he's still trying to get me to come back to Jackson. Um, if you, yeah, that's true. That's what I was thinking. He apparently knew at some point, but it didn't matter. Do you think post-ops have it easier, especially if they pass too? Easier in what way? I mean, if we're talking about, I don't know, like easier in what way? I know post-op that pass and they're post-op, but they still have the same problem. Me and my homegirl, Lauren, talk about this all the time. Lauren, she's a post-op trans activist in hold on, let me find it. In Canada. She's an ex-model. She's post-op. She does activism, and she's getting married soon with her husband. And I love Lauren. Lauren is my girl, but we have really deep conversations. And she thought she was invested in the idea that if she just kept it a secret, if she wouldn't have to deal with the same things. And she was like, life said, no, ma'am, so you have to deal with the same shit. And so, she came out, quote unquote, came out again as trans years later. And, we've had some amazing conversations, and she's a real one. She always keeps it real. There's some good things about it, and there's some negative things about it. And other post-op that I made, the problem with post-op, is that we have positioned being post-op as a badge of honor because we value cis heteronormativity. We have pushed the sex change, the gender reassignment surgery. We have pushed that to the point where that can be depicted or seen by individual or other people as a badge of honor and goals and da 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 da. So when girls get it, it's like a shiny badge. It's like, ooh, I'm post-op, I'm post-op. It is hard for them to be real with you about the negative side because it tarnishes the shiny badge. And I don't know if y'all been watching me for a minute, y'all know I speak in poetic terms. I try to give y'all analogies so y'all can get what I'm saying. So if this badge is something that I can be proud of and I can walk around and say, ooh, I'm a post-op. It's this shiny badge like a star. It's like, oh my God. And you get to asking me about the negative side of the badge, I can't be real with you because then I'm bringing myself down off the pedestal. I am tarnishing this badge. So even if sexually my pussy doesn't work in a right way, it doesn't get wet, or I can't actually orgasm, I'm gonna tell you that it does this. It's the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the it does cartwheels and it is magic tricks and da 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 da. I'm gonna tell you that it's doing all these things because I want to keep this badge of honor shiny. I want to keep this shiny. I don't want to tell you the real life negative stuff that comes along with it because, you know, even if it's the smallest, because I don't want to tarnish my badge of honor. And so a lot of girls won't keep it real with you. Now, I've met girls who I've gotten close to, so they're able to tell me, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, but there is a lot of people not always honest about the negative sides of being post-op. Some of them can, and some of them, it's you got to understanding you are rearranging your body parts, and everybody's healing process is different. Everybody's healing process is different. If you've ever had like FFS, if you ever had any surgery, there's always a shift in where it is. Like there's like how the nerves connect. Like if you like, I know if you've had FFS, how your nerves connect is different. And sometimes you'll have some spots on your head that don't have feeling because the nerves haven't fully connected yet. And it's the same thing when you are reconstructing down there. How my homegirl told me that, I've said this before. She was like, it feels good, but it feels like you're like you how she described it is when she was pre-op, when somebody would suck the head of her penis and it would be sensitive, like how the way she was like, sometimes when you suck when she had a penis, when you suck the head of her penis, it would be too sensitive. It's like, no, I need you to suck the whole dick, not just the head, because the head is too intense. And so it's like, ooh, don't, that's too much intense. So you need to be tender with it so it can feel good. She said post-op, when she would have sex, it would be too sensitive and uncomfortable. It felt like somebody was taking the head of her dick and doing like this, where it was a sensation, but it wasn't a pleasurable sensation. It was like somebody taking the head of your dick and saying, and that was the feeling. It wasn't a feeling of pleasure. And she says not just somebody doing it. She was like with herself, like when she's playing with herself and she's trying to find the rhythm of what feels good to her. It never got to the point where this is feeling good. She was like, it's like, yeah. And that really, at the time, it made sense because they do change your head and the nerve endings around your head into your clit. So the way she described it, I was like, oh, that's legit. I can see that making sense. You know, and then some girls, they just have everybody that I've heard has a different experience. I remember one of the girls said she was having sex with a dude and something happened where they were having sex and something ruptured. I don't know what that was, but it started to bleed out and she had to go to the doctor. And this was way down the line of her surgery. It wasn't like she was trying to fuck as soon as she got it. Not that. Dilation. I think somebody brought up dilation. It seems like it's a word. Honey, I need you to go watch post-op stuff. If you're trying to be, if you want to know about post-op, there's tons of post-op videos of how they do it and conversations about it. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of your body healing could affect you, and the doctor can't control how your body heals. Like they could be the perfect doctor. Like they could do the surgery in the most perfect way, but how your body heals, excuse me, how your body heals is they can't control that, honey. How your nerves could connect back and all that kind of stuff. A girl was murdered mid-sex, excuse me, mid-sex because her pussy was clogged. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about. I never heard that story. But yeah, I know dudes that said they've clocked it, and then I know dudes who say that they haven't. I know dudes that say, they haven't. That they had some sex change pussy and they live. Just that's a different. I think it just depends. It depends on a lot of things, and that if it's good, if it improves your life and helps you not be dysphoric and make you happy, I say go for it. Okay, let's see. So I wanted to finish talking about Angela. So Angela being the classic, back to American Beauty. Angela being the classic like female narcissistic person. She's the, oh God, she's hanging around this girl who is a plain Jane, Janie, who is ordinary, who is tough but insecure. Um, and and really because of the family that she lives in, her mother reading her all the time, her father just being this distant loser, it's only right that she would like the attention that Ricky is giving her. And then Angela, in response to that, is not understanding why Ricky isn't even paying attention to her. But I really enjoys Angela's, even though it was pretend, um, Angela agency over her feminine power. I enjoyed that in the movie because it wasn't just she wasn't Angela wasn't just the victim. She wasn't the victim of Lester's lust. She was the active participant in his lust. Like, and something about that is endearing about Angela. Because even from the first time that he met Angela, Angela was looking like, hey, and playing the flirt role. Because that's where her power lies. Angela is like, is they'll grow up to be a Drea, a, um, a Drea, a Amber Rose, a white version, where this is how the world is. For me to come up as a actress, a model, or whatever, if I want social status as a woman, this is my power. My power is my beauty. This is all that I have to offer. You feel what I'm saying? Her power, she believes that her beauty alone is what makes her a worthwhile entity. You see what I'm saying? And because of how patriarchy is set up in the world, she knows that this is what gets me into the door, because this is how men respond to me and have responded to me since I was 12 and responded to me since I was 12. And so in my mind, I don't know, there's something about a young girl having that agency, even though, she hadn't had sex and she actually was a virgin, and it was just pretending. She was pretending to be um, promiscuous. She was pretending to know how to work men. She was flirting and she was using her feminine wiles. You see what I'm saying? She knows how to do that. And there was something to me that was endearing about her, even though she wasn't actually having sex, knowing that already. Because I wish at a young age that I knew that. Because I would have made so much fucking money. Because that would have took it to another level. But I was invested in the good girl narrative. I was invested in the good girl narrative. I was invested in, if you are a good girl, that will lead to you being happy. You would deserve the happiness. You would deserve the good man. The good man will see you and be like, "Ooh, you will get chose." I was invested in that belief, and so I was trying to reserve. I was trying to give the good girl image, but then life happened, and you like, that don't work, girl. And so Janie reminds me, I don't know if y'all read the book by Gregory Maguire called Confessions of an Ugly Sister. But that book, to me, I think when it comes to, that's one of my favorite books about beauty, because it gives the particular perspective of somebody who is ordinary. They're not ugly, but they're not beautiful. So Cinderella was beautiful, but it tells a story from the stepsisters' perspective, and one of the stepsisters are ugly, and one of them are just regular. Like I don't have this immaculate beauty, but I'm just regular. But I'm not ugly. I'm just regular. And so it's from a perspective of, I think the book really examines beauty in a really interesting way. How beauty can be a burden, how beauty can be the crux of your existence, how it can really put you in situations where you can be harmed. Um, and not just harmed by like being attacked, being raped, being da 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 da. Harmed in a way that it alienates you from other people. And they can't have, because of their relationship with beauty and social, they can't have a genuine relationship with you because you are beautiful. And they see you as they see that as privilege, and it's hard to be genuine with you. Surgery, but Joe, my good sister, has never been the same since, and her recovery was traumatic with a capital T. Yeah, it can be hard. I feel like I've had to work very hard to step outside of my beauty and believe that I have more worth than my skin. I've heard of this book, and it seems like a very vital read. Yes, it's by Gregory Maguire. It's called "The Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister." It's it's basically the Cinderella story. So the amazing thing of Gregory Maguire books, they are reimagining of stories you already know. So Gregory Maguire is the one who wrote Wicked, like the play Wicked, but it was the play is an adaptation of his book called Wicked, and Wicked is a reimagining of Oz, like the Dorothy and Oz story, the Wizard of Oz story. It's a reimagining. So they're telling the story from the Wicked Witches of the West point of view, from her growing up. You get to see why she's green, why she became politically the Wicked Witch of the West, why she is who she is. And so that's what he does. He takes normal fairy tale stories and he gives you a different perspective of it, which with adult themes, with adult themes. And so Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister is let me see. Let me see if I can find it so I can give it to y'all. Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister is the story of Cinderella. Is the story of Cinderella. All right, I found it. Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister is really good. And I don't know, it's just a really good, it talks about beauty in a way. It shares the burden of beauty. Like it shares the feeling of not being beautiful and how people treat you when you're not, and how people treat you when you are, how people and how that affects your friendships. Yeah, I love it. I love the way he writes about it. Um what else? 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 Who else? We already talked about Colonel Fitz, Ricky. Ricky. Hey Sam, how are you? Ricky and Jane's relationship, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was a cute love story where they are where they you know they find each other. It's almost like they find each other. Like, they both are weird. He look he loves her ordinary. He thinks that what she doesn't like about herself, he thinks that it's beautiful. He likes dark things. He likes dark, cynical, mundane, kind of boring things. He finds beauty in the things. That's why he was so amazed by finding that bag after him seeing that bag floating in the air and filming it, and it for 15 minutes it just kind of was floating. You know, just somebody looking at that and seeing beauty in that. He was that type of person. So I thought that was cool. The film was originally supposed to begin and end with Jane and Ricky being on trial, convicted for the death of Lester after being framed by Colonel Fitz. I'm so glad that they didn't do that. I think what they did made it beautiful and poetic because you can feel in, you know, we don't need to know what happened. We see we don't need to know, did they catch the killer of Lester? Like, how did they all? I think that would have been too much. That would have been no. I think where they left it is perfect because it it just it's like you can examine everybody's story. So we got 5 minutes, y'all. I hope y'all like the movie. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's a really good movie. Make sure you thumbs up. I think the next movie that we're going to talk about is Closer. I don't know if that's going to be next Friday, but I don't know. Yes, but Closer is good. So if you um, next week, I am interviewing. Um, I don't know if y'all know him. He's kind of getting popular on. I'm interviewing Conscious Lee, and I'm interviewing Raquel Willis. So be looking out for that. Y'all know Conscious Lee? You know? I think I've seen him. Inward, let's explore it. Because a lot of y'all be lost in the sauce of white supremacy, and y'all don't even know it. My niggas, I'm going to try to simply state, when it comes to the origins of the N-word, stop giving the slave master credit for shit. Yes, so I'm going to interview him. I haven't interviewed any cishet niggas except for my brother, so I want to, I can't wait to have him. It is for Marsha's plate, but I'm going to do the interview with him like I did with George. Um, all my interviews is going to be for Marsha's plate. But anytime I interview people, I'm going to put, just like I did with George, I'm going to put the interview on here as well. But yes, I make more money with Marsha's plate, so that's always going to be more than YouTube. YouTube. I told y'all, it's about engagement. It's about I can't. They changed the algorithm. How you find my videos, how you find what I'm talking about. They have changed the algorithm and made what I talk about as something negative. And so I can't put advertisement on it. So when I put that it's trans related, when I put that it's black related, when I put that it is feminist related, they always limit my George. His name is George. His real name is George, but it's his middle name is Matthew. Um, but yes, they always limit my advertising, and so I don't make as much money on YouTube as I used to, and so I don't be trying to invest in it. So I do a live show because this is fun, something to do. Y'all able to donate through Super Chat, and it's about topics that I want to talk about. Yes. So yes, YouTube doesn't. I hate investing time that I used to because it doesn't do anything. You know, I still like the platform because it's a visual platform. Um, and I have all my old videos on here. So I still like it, but it's not as lucrative as it used to be. And, it's based on, like, for some reason, like, it's just not growing like it was. Once I get to like 10,000, it has stayed there for such a long time. And then if you pay attention to all, like, if you go back and look at the lives, there are people who come on and like, oh my God, I haven't seen you online in forever. Oh my God, I didn't know you were still uploading. Because for some reason, my content is not showing up on my subscribers' feeds. So it's weird. YouTube is really weird right now. Um, and somebody will say, I didn't know you were still making videos. And I was like, I still post. And they'll say, oh my God, it hasn't been showing up. I have the bell on and I still don't get notifications. Exactly. Exactly. And that's a complaint that a lot of people, even bigger ones, like Jackie Anna talks about it. It's a complaint. But because she has so many people, it doesn't affect her as much as somebody who is small like me. And so when I post content on here, it'll be 300 or 400 people that'll get the notifications when I got like 10,000. And then somebody will send me a message saying, oh my God, I thought you had stopped doing YouTube. And then I randomly see you post something on your Twitter, and I'm like, oh, Diamond's posting videos? And they done missed tons of videos. So it's just, I don't know what's happening. And, you know, I don't know how to fix it, but it's two things. It's that shit and the when I put that I'm trans, when I put that the subject is transgender, when I put that the subject is oppression or black rights, or defunding the police, any of these topics that y'all know, that's my bag. Politics is my bag. They make it like it's too controversial or it's not for kids or too controversial, so they always limit my my advertising. So yeah, that's what it is. But yes, make sure you thumbs up. um One thing that is true that everybody says is true: if you engage with it, if you thumbs up, if you share, if you do all that kind of stuff, you and how the algorithm works with what you see, you will be able to see more stuff from me if you engage with it. So, and that's how it works. When you search for something, they start showing you ads. When I search for Oprah interview with Tony Braxton, I'm gonna get tons of. When I come back on the site, it's gonna be Oprah and Tony Braxton, different videos about that subject. And so, yeah. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn the bell notification on. It might work, it might not. But my schedule, the good thing about me is I try to keep my schedule. I try to do, I like scheduling stuff. So Thursday are my Marshall Plate days. And so I put the episode up on Thursday for Marshall's Plate. And then Friday are my YouTube days. So I post on Fridays for that. And I'm thinking about a day that I can turn into my quote unquote Facebook day. It might be Tuesday. Yeah, it might be Tuesday. I don't know. I haven't started that. Because my Facebook stuff, I'm always posting on Facebook. And I don't really like Instagram. I like Instagram, but I don't like their live feature. I don't like how it is. I don't like not being able to control it. And there's so many tons of rude ass straight niggas on my Instagram. But yes, all right. What about using TikTok? I have TikTok, but I do have TikTok. I literally have I have every one. Where's TikTok? Yeah. Yeah, I'm Diamond Styles on TikTok. I just don't post them there like that. I'm Diamond Styles everywhere. I'm Diamond Styles on Twitter, Diamond Styles on um I think I'm getting old. I think I'm out of the TikTok age bracket because I haven't found my niche. I had to translate it to TikTok because I just be seeing people dancing and doing stuff. I don't see them. I haven't figured out what I want to do on um, TikTok. But all right, y'all. Make sure you thumbs up. Make sure you check the new episode of March's Plate is out of George. I'm 20 and I'm too old for TikTok. But yeah, but then Tabitha Brown, honey, she older than me. Well, or my age. Honey, she's balling off of TikTok. Like that. So something is working. Somebody is watching. But all right, I'm about to get up out of here so I can play my video game. I'll see y'all next week. Let's do Closer. Unless something happens, let's do the movie Closer. So Closer, it has Natalie Portman, Julia Roberts, Clive Owen, I think that's his name, and Jude Law. It's called Closer, and that will be the next week's subject, unless something happens. All right, y'all. Be good.